Okay, so today I'm going to start making a compilation video about growing things from seed. Vegetables like carrots and parsnips with big long tap roots definitely need to be sown where they're going to grow. So whether that's in the ground like a parsnip or in these tubs like a carrot, they need to be sown directly into the soil where they're going to grow. Other things like sweet corn, for example, I prefer, here in the UK at least, and because I only grow a few of them, definitely prefer to grow those in as seed starts in root trainers. And other things again want to be grown like chilies, things like that take a long time to sprout, want to be grown, started off indoors with a nice, some kind of heating from underneath. And again, some tomatoes, cucumbers, pumpkins, things like that definitely want to be best started off either in a greenhouse, if you're lucky enough to have a greenhouse, preferably a heated one. And if you haven't got a greenhouse, you can start those off indoors in pots on a windowsill. So anyway, let's get on with these carrots. When you're selecting seeds, it's very important to grow something that you like. I like things like carrots and beetroot and one thing or another. If you don't like carrots and beetroot, don't bother growing them. It's fairly obvious. Another thing to consider is disease resistance, especially on allotment. If you're only growing a handful of plants, you don't want something that's going to be really prone to disease. And to that end, in this particular case, my favourite is this Resistafly carrot. It tastes wonderful, looks great, and is very resistant to the carrot fly, which is also why I grow them in these tubs. Theoretically, carrot fly can't fly higher than a metre. I actually think that's nonsense. I don't see why a carrot fly wouldn't land on the side of the tub and then crawl up to find its favourite food. Also, when selecting your seeds, it's a good idea to go for something which this one doesn't actually have, but the Award of Garden Merit on the RHS. Various plants and vegetables have been awarded this certificate by the Royal Horticultural Society, and they've been trialled in fields and field trials at Wisley normally, and they're particularly good for disease resistance, taste and ease of growing, this sort of thing. So if you're really not sure what to grow, something you like, something that's either got good disease resistance or has the Award of Garden Merit. The Award of Garden Merit is a good sign. So anyway, in this case, we're going to do a little trial of our own, and we're going to use Resistafly carrots, which are my favourite, and we're going to try some other random seeds, which are this one I believe is a rainbow mix, so you get different colour carrots, and this one is a smaller, I think Nantes they call it. It's a smaller sort of stubby little carrot. These ones, as far as I know, don't have any particular resistance to the carrot fly, so we'll see how they fare in similar conditions to Resistafly. I know that this one says exactly what it says on the packet. It really is resistant to the carrot fly. So let's have a closer look and see how we're going to stick them in the ground. One thing to remember is that you need moist soil. There's no point planting the seeds into really dry soil. Carrot seeds in particular need a good 7 days to germinate where the soil is nice and moist. Hence the fact I've just given this a nice water. Okay, so I've just made some concentric circles here. Not too deep. The carrots are only tiny seeds. As a rule of thumb, you only need to put the seeds in as deep as they are big, if you see what I mean. And we're going to plant them quite thinly in here. We've got lots of seeds, but we're going to plant them very thinly so that we don't have the necessity to thin them out at a later time. Carrot fly hone in on the scent of the carrots, and when you pull them out, that scent goes up in the air and the flies find them. So nice, just try and get them an inch apart. It's not 100% crucial. And we'll repeat this process with all our different varieties. So this first tub is just the Resistafly, and we can always plant another batch once we pull these out. You can probably get a couple of successions through the year. So try, if you can, do them quite thinly. And we're going to carry on with the other tubs in a similar fashion. And in this one we're going to plant the Nantes carrots, I think. Very important to remember with carrots that they really don't like any big stones in the soil, which is why, another reason, I'm doing them in these tubs. Because the top layer of this is just seed start compost, which is very sandy. And carrots really like a nice sandy soil. The faintest excuse and they'll fork if they hit a stone. And we don't want thin, spindly, forked carrots, do we? We want carrot-shaped carrots. So once you've popped your seeds in, just gently cover them up again and hope for a bit of damp weather maybe, just to keep this moist for the next 7 days. Some people cover it with a sheet to keep the moisture in, which isn't such a bad idea, but I've never actually done it. Mostly because I might not be up here every day to take it off, and you wouldn't want to leave it on too long once they've sprouted. Okay, and other plants really benefit from being grown as little plug plants. I like to use these seed trays, which are really hard plastic. So in here we're going to plant some beetroot, some spring onions, some cosmos, a nice flower for the pollinators, and some saved seed from my some brassicas I've saved from the Asturian tree cabbage and the collards. Now then, the reason for doing it in seed trays like this and getting a little plug plant is that if you plant them directly into the ground, although you can do that with beetroot, sometimes if you've got a weed seed bank in your bed, the weed seeds grow up faster than the plants you actually want and crowd them out, and it becomes problematic. If you have little plug plants, you can plant them in the beds and they outcompete the weeds. You know, the weeds don't get a chance, the plug plants are already there and they grow up nice and strong. So very simply, make a little hole and stick them in. And spring onions you can afford to plant a lot thicker, because it's going to produce a little clump of plants that you can just plant out in the ground all in one big lump, and you'll have a nice bunch of spring onions for a nice cheese and onion sandwich. Fine. So all that's left to do now is cover these seeds up with a bit of soil on the top and give it a little water. And it's always handy to have somebody else to give you a hand at the allotment. So here's neighbour Ross making his Hollywood debut.
Yep, very proud.
So that's pretty much done, Ross. Time for a beer?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, so it's the 24th of April now. Last week we planted our first tray of seeds, which were cosmos flower seeds, the leeks, the beetroot and some brassicas. And this week we're going to mostly be doing tomatoes. I've got 3 different sorts of tomatoes here. One is an extremely disease resistant one called Crimson Crush, and these other 2 are Moneymaker and Tiger Stripe, all salad tomatoes, and we're going to try and grow them outside in the main garden. Crimson Crush is really resistant to blight, whereas these other 2 don't really have any disease resistance in that respect. So we're going to see if Crimson Crush is our answer to late blight, because every single year we get blight and I'm very lucky to get a fully ripe tomato. So we'll see how that goes. Best practice when you plant seeds is to put a label in so you know which is which. The ones we did last week, all the seedlings look very different, and with experience I can tell which is which. And in fact, some of the cosmos have already sprouted. So to get over that labelling problem, I've also brought with me some nasturtiums, which are very lovely looking flowers. You can eat them as well. and some kohlrabi, which is another brassica. So I'll do a row of tomatoes of one sort, so let's say 2 or 3 rows of the Crimson Crush, a couple of rows of the other two, and in between I'll do either a nasturtium or a kohlrabi. Then I'll be able to tell which is which. So that'll be good. I've also brought some sunflowers. There's not very many sunflowers in this packet, sunflower seeds in this packet, so I'm going to plant some outside. Sunflowers are pretty happy at being direct sown really. As a fail safe, I might do a couple in pots as well. Yeah, so let's get on and get these in the soil. Our last frost date here in the southern part of this, well, where I live in the UK, is the 15th of May. You can find your last frost date by simply searching the internet. It may be different down in Cornwall, or perhaps that where the Gulf Stream comes down that west side of Scotland, but then more central Scotland, northern England, it might be a bit later. So the reason I'm going to plant in the polytunnel is that it's going to offer a little bit of protection in these last couple of weeks when we might get a frost, and the temperature at this time of year isn't too much of a drop between daytime and nighttime. We'll obviously get warm here in the polytunnel, but I've got the windows open, and it'll just be enough to keep any frost off. Tomatoes really don't like frost. You can plant them indoors in pots. If you do that, don't be tempted to start too early, because you might end up with leggy plants, like long spindly plants. If they get too long and spindly, they probably won't recover. If you've just got a little bit of legginess, when you come to plant them outside, just make sure you plant them a bit deeper, because they have their stems. Sorry, the doors come open on the shed. These stems are capable of putting out advantageous roots. So when you plant them a bit deeper, the roots will come out, and it won't be such a bad idea. You can also do that with sunflowers, which are quite happy to be grown outside directly into the ground, but you know, as a fail safe, you might want to do some inside, because the slugs sometimes like to have a little nibble on them. Just going to shut that door. So it couldn't be any simpler really. We're just going to put one seed in each of these cells. Probably do 2 rows of this particular one, Moneymaker, and then we'll put some other seed next to it, and then the other varieties of tomatoes. I won't need this many tomato plants, but I can give them away or take them to my garden at home. They'll be fine. We'll plant more than we think we need in case we have a disaster. I don't think we will, but we might. So there's our Moneymaker in. We'll save the rest of those. And then we'll pop in some nasturtiums. These are much bigger seeds. You can afford to go a bit deeper. If you're going to grow nasturtiums in your allotment beds, just be aware that they self-seed very easily. I've got almost a weed problem here with them now, but I do love them, that's why I'm planting more. Just do 1 row of this variety, push it in. And now we'll do our Crimson Crush. And a little flick to make sure they're all at the bottom of the packet. Nothing worse than ripping open your packet and throwing the seeds all over the ground. Let's see how many we've got. Possibly not many if they're such a excellent variety. Got a few here. Again, just one in each cell will suffice. You can put more in and thin them out, but it seems to be an awful waste of seed. So anyway, there you go. That's tomato seeds interspersed with some of these different plants. We'll just finish up planting the rest of the tray and cover it with a little light covering the soil, water it in, job's a good one. Okay, if you liked the video and you found it helpful in any way, shape or form, consider subscribing. There's also the Ma Allotment Facebook group where you can come and ask questions and meet like-minded people. And we're growing a community of people that like to grow their own food and flowers. So be sure to check that out. Okay, see you next time. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of your week.